you so much for the 30 likes before we even got started. That is a incredible gesture. It definitely will help us push through the algorithms quickly. I know I'm a couple minutes late, but for good reason. My son is on the bus for the first time. And you guys know he's special needs. If you don't, he's special needs, autism, and he's nonverbal, so it makes it interesting. So he's on the bus for his first time, and he's doing great. They sent some pictures. He really is doing a good job. He's happy. So I was pacing a little bit before, so I wanted to update that real quick. But so now that I know he's good, I was able to kind of sit down, relax. I've gotten a lot of messages. Tom, if there's a potential for the drop, are you selling all your stuff yet? No. In order for me to sell the stuff that we got at a remarkable price on that big drop, we're going to have to see the same kind of validation that we're ready to go all the way back down again. And we very well might. We very well might. But you don't shortchange yourself. So you get a fantastic bargain. And now if you're looking to play that game, I believe right now we're in the time of accumulation. I know XRP is higher than most, but that's why we targeted it in the bear market over everything else. For a reason. So we thought it would outperform the market because of what was going on with the lawsuit, and I assumed it would be done in 25. My earlier video, it's so funny when you go back to them, because I talk about, oh man, it's so funny. I was listening to one of them and just seeing the comments from the live. Oh, it was great. Going back to yesteryear, but anyhow. No, it's not. You can't. If you're gonna get out of the way of everything, you have to make sure that certain things are met. Like for IOTA, the example on this one would be, while we form this little uptrend here, first area we would have to lose is 1366. But I wouldn't be willing to get out of it unless it proved to me that it needed to fall through here and fall back down and bottom. My issue is with a lot of this is what we've done, and we can go back to yesteryear. And I will, because yesteryear is fun sometimes. We've come back and cleared out every bit of gap area all the way from 2020 lows. So, like, it's a little bit different here. Like, we can do it again with another good example, and it's in a very small time frame in comparison because it's only been around since the beginning of September. The chosen token out of Swift would be Linea. It came back and cleared that entire gap. Like, that's unbelievable how it did this. Now we know it's going to eventually have to clear the gap up top. Fortunately, we got the gap clearing. And now in the daily, we're significantly oversold. Substantially oversold. So we're getting to a point where, and I keep telling everybody with the copy trade, and I think we figured it out now through trial and error. A lot of people were hitting the subscribe button when they were trying to get on for XRP Future Millionaire on TOOBIT. And there's a link in the video description below and our pinned comments. And this isn't about win or loss. This is about seeing it through as a group like we did with XRP. And there were times that we were up 100% and then pulled it right back down to almost even. I don't think we were ever really down. We might have been for maybe a moment, but, buying it at 34 cents when we did, there wasn't a lot of time to be down. But it came back to 38 cents even in 2024. So I want to ride this together as a group and see who has the testicular fortitude so we can do a real comparison. We own our 10,000 plus XRP cheap to put ourselves in the position. Now I would like to have at least a couple 100,000 Linea, not just 10,000 like with XRP, but like 250,000, 500, it all depends. But at least start out as a group. And I know not everybody's going to be able to drop $3,000 on it or 3,200 or whatever it's going to be. But even if you have 10,000 of them, $100, I would say at least $160 if it was the day, because you want to at least get at 1.5 cents. You could pull away with a decent amount. But I want to do a comparison between Linea and XRP in this cycle. What outperforms what? And with the escrow dumps that are happening with Linea in a different way, they don't call them escrow dumps, but they have to put the tokens on the market similar to what XRP does. I want to see the impact as a holder from the standpoint of a holder, because you're paying attention to the more minute details, how it affects the price action between the Linea as they're inflating the circulating supply of the token like every other one does. and how XRPs, by doing it through a escrow system, if that is easier on the price, you know, how it moves. And look, Linnea, like we said, when they had that escrow dump on October 10th, we knew there would be volatility. We didn't know the whole market was going to dump right when they were doing that, but isn't it convenient how that worked out? It all got put on the market, went way cheaper. And then it's just so convenient. So I'm not swayed. Like I've said before, and I'll say it again, and I even switched my art that I've used. Did you notice the art this morning when you looked? This was a completely different flip from what my art has been for a long time. Because I want a message to be felt. Can you read the message? Some people got excited yesterday. Wow, this is so if you just look at it, I kind of did something different. And I've even put little messages, like if you look at the right side behind me, you can even see November. You can see, and I've merged a little bit, but I think that timetable right there, and it's funny because that's old Vincenzo's, my brother. That's his birthday, by the way. But I also put a message at the bottom with the XRP crypto alts. This is the time of wealth. And this is AI. You got to love how it misspells. The transition, don't fear the correction. This is the wealth transition. But I put it in my thing, and I misspelled wealth because I did a dot, not the, well, that's when I'm putting it on YouTube. But there's a message in here. Like, everybody's becoming afraid. And yeah, we could very well drop again. Don't get me wrong. But yesterday we talked about the inverse head and shoulders that should alleviate some short-term pain. It really should. This inverse head and shoulders, unless we lose like the 219, but in this more short term, that 232 is a very guiding area. But we really should bounce out at some point of this. And I know I drew it like this here, which is going to be harder to tell why, but that's a very big resistance where I drew that across. But it's easier to see it on here because we're stuck within. And then the moment we come outside of this pattern, and right now we should start to push some pressure here, assuming, let me draw it here, assuming left shoulder, head, right shoulder. You can say left shoulder, head, right shoulder, right? So if that's an inverse pattern, this should give us some pressure of relief and come back up into here. Whether we get rejected or not is to be determined, but based on where we're at in the stochastic moving up, daily time frame in the stochastic is getting a little oversold now, but the RSI is just starting to break back into a little bit more of a bullish area. Weekly time frame is what gives me a lot of favor. What do I always say about assets? If you want to take profit, you sell out when they're oversold in the weekly, or overbought in the weekly in the stochastic. And yeah, I like the RSI, but the stochastic is more sensitive. You want to start buying when it's overbought or oversold in the weekly in the stochastic. And then if you want to get an underlining tone, okay, yeah, sometimes in the monthly oversold is great, but usually it just gets back to neutral because you've got a rhythm going. So it should be your bullish continuation. So now you sell when it's overbought, which would have been, if you look at the stochastic, you would have sold in the 365 area, 350, anywhere in these candles here. You had plenty of time. Even if you did it down here when it was starting to rotate down, it would have been at 335. Now the stochastic is telling us to buy all in this area. Even when it came down here, it wasn't completely oversold, but that was the wick that allowed this to happen. It's giving a technical accumulation signal right now. Now, can that come down? Abso-fucking-lutely. But it's telling you, have your eyes open right now. In the market, FYI, despite what you might hear around, and I'm changing my lingo, I'm not talking about blah, blah, blah's influence. I don't care what they're doing. I'm just saying the general dynamic and like what you might hear circulating through all forms is that alt season is canceled, is that we're done, we've topped. I'll tell you a fact. There's never been a topping in a cycle when we're in fear, ever. In crypto, we've never topped in fear, not one time in the history of crypto. So we're not going to do it now. Could we push quickly back into greed and never hit a new high? Sure. But we never, ever, ever, ever have not topped it. We've never topped out in fear. So now The other thing is this might not technically, like this rally, I've been saying this and I'll say it again, the mid-November, that doesn't mean we just go parabolic. I still have my resolution that it could take until Q1 or Q2 of 2026 to fully get parabolic. But what I think in November is no matter where we start, at least we're going to start to see some green. It's going to start to have that Evan Flit or the reversal feel now, because I technically think what Bitcoin is forming, as long as we don't go down to 92, if it can hold this higher area, it can stay in here for a little while. Like, it's just back testing right now. This entire inverse head and shoulders breakout, it's back testing this move. If it doesn't break back down and just hold where we're at, your next move up is going to bring you into like the 130,000 range. And I completely could see this happening for a while as we fill out what looks like could be maybe a rising wedge in that area on a larger scale. This, if it bounces in and holds, is almost like a rising triangle. It almost gives me a different feel. So I don't think we're even close to done yet. And I think some of the stuff that's happening at the end of this month too. So think about it this way. We've got rate cuts. I guarantee we're rate cutting. We're not hiking. Because what happened with Jerome Powell, the reason I have such a conviction, Jerome Powell legitimately said, and I know it was a bore fest and snooze fest, but we watched it together. He legitimately said, we're done with quantitative tightening. He said, we're wavering out of that last 400 or 500 billion a month that we're doing in tightening, and we're done. And then it shows, oh man, I had the statistics. Where the hell did I put it? Oh, fuck. I think I forgot to send it. Ah, damn it. That was what I was going to do before I came on, but then I got pacing with my son. But there was a statistic where the government was buying up these treasuries and bonds, which is a complete... So they're going away from tightening, guys. And that is the most bullish catalyst that crypto will see. Remember, it always looks the worst right before we start powering out. The market always gets into this level of fear, sometimes extreme fear, not always. I think the worst we were this year was March of this year. We're at about 12 in the extreme fear category. That was in March. So I think we got down to 22 on this last one. I don't know where we're at this morning. Because of a few percent, we could have went up here from, I think yesterday's at like 33, 32. I maybe even went down to 28 during the drop yesterday, honestly. Yesterday, 25. Oh, it's still only at 27. See, I can't explain it. When everybody was psyched, I was depressed because I'm like, we're going down. When everybody's depressed, I'm psyched. I'm like, we're going. I don't understand. I don't understand. So I feel good right now. I think we all feel good. But let me get to the intro. Good morning. 10:33 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Thursday, October 23rd, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. Let's see. So if you are talking about the copy trade, let's see. I've got so much stuff I go through, I can't remember where I'm looking. Let's see. Oh, right here. So, copy trading setup. If you want to copy trade me, I encourage you, join Tom's Army and get into the Telegram just so you can have the step-by-step. And this is not for quick money. You might even lose money in the beginning. You don't know. I've already lost like $170-something trying to do the figuring it out why people couldn't get in, but I have to do it at the margin I'm using. But I only do 1x. And I would do it in spot, but we can't do spot when we do copy, and I don't short, so you don't have to worry about getting liquidated. It's just like a spot trade, except we can't move it. We're just tied together. So you go in here, it shows every single thing, every question you might have. And it's this at the time, there was 3 people, I believe. And see how there was heart starting, but it ended up getting up to like 13 people hearted it. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Why is there hearts and not follows? So after some trial and error during the live, we finally figured it out. It all clicked that people were starting to hit the follow button. And I'm not talking about this a lot. You have to go into there, but I just want to make sure. So when you go into there, I have the proper, what it says, because you're going to look and be like, hey, that's not how many people, that's not him. So let me just go into here. Let me pull this up. Let me pull overview. So there's 9 people that are following now, FYI. And you'll see it says I'm down. Oh my God, I've lost $352 trying to do this. This is some bullshit. But that's fine. That has to happen like that because I have to do it in the margins the way they are. So it's not even, to me, I don't consider it a loss because when you see what I sold and what, even if we bought it today, the sale initially was at like it was 2 something. And then I sold it. Now it's at 1.5 something. So I don't look at the losses the same as most people. I'm looking for more tokens without having to spend more money, if you know what I mean. So this is how you do it. This is how you do it. You just do it like this. So it tells you everything. And then you even get a congratulations at the end. So if you're interested, make sure you look at that. Defined it a hell of a lot of work to do that. And it's no small task, let me tell you. And I think some people that were like, man, I think he's dramatic when it comes to the copy trading, why he hates it. I think now y'all realize why it's a pain in the... But once you get it rolling, we ended up like $3,000 when we were doing it on BitUnix, when it was actually rolling, when we were able to do it. And it was a fucking spectacular thing. We had a lot of people that joined in on it. Not in the beginning, they waited. In our group, and I know past performance doesn't dictate future dynamics or future expectations, but assets under management, I had so much, there were 6 figures that people were relying me to do, and we were up like, with everybody who was in as a group, we're up like 20-something thousand dollars, and it was a short amount of time. And I expect nothing less as a group because this will be a longer time. And as long as we don't lose the ability on TOOBIT, which I don't think we're going to, and if we do, I'll be transparent like I was with BitUnix. Like, we got to get out of the way. Even though we can still use it individually, we couldn't do it as a group. There was too much risk involved. You'd have to be able to do it on the fly and be able to get out and yada yada. So, forgetting all of that, for XRP, what do we need to have happen here? What do we need to have happen? First of all, we need 233 to hold, which I think right now we're kind of out of the woods a little bit. We've put this low wick in. I think that's a good sign. We need this to hold. And then what I think is happening is we built this short-term inverse head and shoulders. And whether or not this is the power out into an oblivion, into the alt season or not, it might be too early for that. But either way, we should be coming up here to at least $2.50 to face either rejection or a hold. We got this nice inverse pattern set up. Going back here is easier to see, but starting here even, shoulder, head, shoulder. You can even come back here, shoulder, head, shoulder. And we came back like a shoulder, shoulder. So it should power out, and we should retest at 266. It's completely unrealistic to think we're not going to retest that if we're going to have a further drop. So I think that's where we're going. And, you know, you can put your money where your mouth is, but like I keep saying, don't trust leverage. Like, never trust it in leverage. I'm not saying you can't trade it. If you want to trade leverage, just understand. And I was doing some math. So for the ones who try to do 35x, the leverage is at like, what does this say? $2.3475. So you're running a very fine tune because everybody likes that 35x. Because this could even bring you to 232. I think you might be out of the woods right now and everybody might get a good play because of where we're at. But you know crypto. So just be careful. 35x keeps you over. Anything under 30x, you should be in the clear. But I'm not advising you to do it. But I also look out for the audience. How anything under a 40x might be okay for the short-term move. But if it doesn't pan out, you're fucked. Because a 2.5% move, you're done. So you want to do leverage, go in a spot and do 1x and build a portfolio. How about that? How about them marbles? But I'm also not going to not tell you the right thing. So, oh, what's this? Is the market moving up? Interesting. So, the question is, do we try finally and see if this works with Linnea? But understanding if you buy it with me, I am out if this formation ever breaks. I don't care if it says we're down $200 or $300 on the trade. That's irrelevant to me. All that would be relevant is I'd be getting out of the way and I'd be buying it if it came down to a lower consolidation. That's what you need to understand. Other than that, I'm not selling it. Period. If we're in it. There's 9 people and that's good enough for me. I don't care. And you've already seen I've lost almost $400 when I could just be sitting in it trying to make this work. So it's one of those bitch parts, but at the same time, the price is cheaper. So I would have been out of the way, but now that it's in this formation, I wouldn't have been doing what I've been doing. I would just hold it. So that's what I want to do. USDT should be going down. See, this is perfect what you're seeing by the audience. The same thing we talked about yesterday. A lot of people want to buy and now they're depressed because they have no more holdings. Guys, this is by design. This is 100% by design. So, if you agree with my philosophy and you understand the dynamics, because remember what I said yesterday, we're fine. We can debate this all we want while it's in this formation, but I'd rather be towards this area than not. I don't want to be way up here. But my gut tells me that we double bottomed. We've hit the support. Now we come up to resistance and deal with it. Either way, we've got a lot of room. Daly's extremely oversold in stochastic. Stochastic is telling me, Tom, pay attention. And if it breaks the structure, do what you do best. Just sell it on TOOBIT. Who cares that you're copy trading? They're going to have to deal with it. They're copy trading you for a reason. And I think anybody copy trading now, they come in and they're like, hey, he's 0 for 4 with a $300 and something loss. And they're like, this guy's an idiot. So I think that in itself, if you're following, it already gives me the understanding that you understand what's going on in the beginning. Remember what happened with BitUnix when I was testing it on the first couple trades, how we were down? Because it's always a pain in the ass trying to get everybody situated. 2 hourly right now on Linea. I'm looking, where's the best opportunity? Because we are in a consolidation. So that's why I think it's a great time to talk about it. Could be building out a sneaky little, this is fucked. Because it should come up here and retest. It just, these all look like little jank patterns because the market's so cranky. It's so misunderstood. It's so misunderstood. Oh, it's misunderstood. I can't explain it. I've never felt so good. Feels so good. I can't tell you why. I don't know. I feel like what we're seeing in here, I really see it inverse head and shoulders on XRP. I do. And heck, I said 232. 237 is actually the gatekeeper here. 237. That's why I was saying, like, if this is going up, it shouldn't break 237 now. If this inverse pattern right there is going to hold on the smaller time frame. But you also have a much larger one down to 229. It's already, like, this could be a much larger left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Smaller one, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Should bring us up and retest. I don't know. I see a lot of these small inverse patterns starting to set up within inverse patterns. And, you know, this is where it was breaking out of, which is why I like to keep that. But this is actually what it filled into. Right here. So, I mean, we actually filled into a nice setup with a nice inverse setup. I mean, I can see it forming. I think we can all see it. It's just a matter of, is it ready to give us it or not? My biggest fear is the market makers will have a liquidity to the, they have to have a liquidity to the upside at some point. We just cleared out so much, unless they're planning on taking it to 102 or 92 out right away. And I've been saying from the beginning, that doesn't make sense to just do it right away. Because even on Bitcoin, you can come grab upper liquidity and there's a lot of it. And look at Bitcoin. Does that look bearish in the short term? That looks like a nice little flag developed. And it looks like it wants to push up. And it's starting to show us the early doings here. It's doing it exactly what it needs to do for an early breakout. So I don't know. It's giving me mixed messages, obviously, in the short term, but not in the sense that I know it's eventually going to go up. And see, we're all worried about the market makers bringing it down. But the bottom line is they really did already bring it down. Like, they brought the house. They brought the freaking house. Like, they brought the house when they dropped that. And now everybody's expecting them to bring it again. And all I was waiting for was this correction here to form the pattern. And now that we did that, we can actually look at it as a more defined structure. I'm like, okay, now we've got something to work with here, ladies and gentlemen. And I still think we have to go to 266, whether bearish or bullish going forward, to back test that drop. I find it very hard to believe we had a 5-wave setup. And it's easier to see it in, I believe, this one, because I still have it drawn out in that sense. Which one is it? I don't think I deleted it. Maybe I did. I don't think I would have. Maybe I did. Maybe I did to make it easier to read. But we had this nice, we had a 5-wave and then fallout. Just a drop out of the bottom. And I could see a lot of scenarios where this should have broke down. There's just a lot here. There's a lot to unpack, and that's what we try to do every single day. And in fact, I've been doing 2 lives a day, and I'm very appreciative of what we have in this audience. I don't care if we ever get another subscriber again. What we've already built is enough for me. It's the audience we have. It's the group of people. It's just what we have here is important. So, one, we need to test this out at some point with Mania to see if it's actually working with everybody, which I suspect it will be because we figured it out. It's just the question is, in the hourly, I'd wait for this to correct just a tiny bit, probably. But it doesn't need to do much. It's just going to waver around until it's ready to push. Let's see what XRP is doing in this exact moment. I'm always interested to see. Like, if you're going to take a trade, see, it's pushing down too. But you see how when it pushed down, it didn't really lose much. This is what we want. It's correcting a little bit. And it really does look like it's trying to set something up here. That daily time frame moving up with room is nice. With the weekly oversold like that, this gives you opportunity. Stochastic is always more sensitive to price movements. Man, that weekly is what really makes you feel good. Because I don't really pay attention when I'm looking for movement. Unless I'm trying to make an entry, I don't look at the hourly and the 45. I like to start at the 4 hourly. Be like, oh man, that's good. We're moving up. RSI's breaking bullish. It looks like we're at least trying. Well, not quite. We have to reverse this. But that's going to take another candle or two. Stochastics broke through. So we're still waiting for this confirmation. Almost looks like we could be forming something here. We'll see. I have hope that we could have a short-term movement here. Talked about the short squeeze, a few days ago. So, and it's been moving. So, we'll see. We've got some money flowing. And I know some of the gold rallies picked back up, which we fully expected it to. I don't think we've just died out. We have to have this back test like we've talked about. So, like I said, don't panic with your mining stocks. Like, if you eventually want to sell them again, that's up to you, obviously. But, you know, don't shoot the gun before the gun needs to be shot. Because I mean, technically with even Silver Court mining, sure, could we come back and test the 518? We could, but we came back to $5.96. We very well could just shoot up to 932. Like the miners, I think they're going to have extraordinarily good earnings. Look how oversold we are in the daily. Now, I know the weeklies are still way up there. But they're clearing off a little bit of steam here. They're clearing off steam. And oftentimes when you're super bullish, I mean, you don't technically clear these levels completely out over time. I mean, there's still movement to be had here. Silver's not just done. Could it correct all the way down? Absolutely. Absolutely, it could correct down. But we've cleared out a lot of space here in the daily. That is pretty interesting. That is pretty interesting. Whether that means we're going to come back up and try to back test, whether that means we're going to try to power out. Because the economic environment hasn't changed. And now that we know we're going to full-on quantitative easing, gold and silver at some point is going to be like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Again, it's just every time it tries to go down, something even better is going to happen in our favor for that sector. But it's like when you compound it between the two sectors, you really got something going here, folks. And honestly, it's par for the course. So if we're looking at it from philosophy standpoint, daily time frame's a buy signal in the stochastic. 4 hourly is going to do its job, in and out, clear. The 2 hourly is telling us, hey, you know, we got a little bit of a corrective here, so let's make sure we come out of this. 45's dumping, so that's what we want to see. Maybe it'll come back down into here. Maybe it'll retest it. I don't know. But it shouldn't come down much farther. Maybe it comes down into here. Hourly is doing its job, shaking itself a little bit. So the job here now is to watch this over the next few hours and see. Let's see what the smaller time frames are, because I do want to do this. And I want to see how many people really understand what's going on. So, and I would still have this, FYI. I bought it at 009 whatever, 200,000 tokens. And I was going to sell it when it broke this structure and just take the profit. Now I've been dabbling over the last couple of days trying to figure out what the hell was going on, why people... So anyhow, now that we're on the right track, like significantly the right track, this is coming down in the 30 minutes, starting to push back down into the oversold, which is good. This is what we want to see. We're going to want to see this confluency now. We don't necessarily need to bring everything back down there, but we want to make sure that we come and test and make sure that we've got the strength here. And if the market is pushing, overall, this should also follow the market. And right now, futures market looks fine at 109.8. Looks like it's trying to build off of this little flag in the hourly. 2 hourly's a little oversold, so we, you know, 3 hourly's fine, 4 hourly's even better. Daily time frame's awesome if we're looking for push. 4 hourly's got room to push up if it wants to, but we got to do this in a perpetual swing. So now we go to the Bitcoin actual chart. Looks like an inverse head and shoulders set up sneakily. 4 hourly's great. 3 hourly's got plenty of room. 2 hourly still hasn't even come up to the 200 day, which is very nice. Hourly, right up at the 100 day. This is why we're getting the consolidation to see if we can hold or if we need to come. So we already came back and tested the 20 again. Bounce off the 50 and the 100. Now we're trying to get over the 200. Then the next micro movement for Bitcoin is going to come up to 111.7 approximately. Once you clear that, then we can start to take out some of these other ones. This might look slightly different by the time we get up here, but you'd be targeting up towards 113. And there's plenty of room in the stochastic if we start a reversal and the RSI, because it broke bullish here through the trend line. This is interesting the way it's setting up right now. A short squeeze definitely seems to be in the making. But, you know, it's still a nasty looking setup too, so. And with Ethereum, it's a pretty easy setup. I mean, you're going to know one way or the other. So with Ethereum, you're literally going wick support. Whoops, what the fuck happened here? Wick support. Wick support, wick support. Here, I'll do it. So it's built this little trend like this. And then you come down on resistance and we can pull that back a little bit because obviously it's not that wide. You got wick resistance, 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 fake breakout. Measure it to the point, and this gives you the volatility. So for Ethereum, if we can stay within here and you break out of it, then you start to move, you know, more towards probably back up, maybe not all the way to 4,673, but you're going to start retesting. Maybe it would be somewhere up there. Let's measure this. I'm just curious from the depth of this consolidation. Ooh, that's pretty money. That's pretty money. That's pretty much on the money. I like when my mind works in that fashion, and then it's close to, wow. It was working good, wasn't it? So that's basically the short term. If you break up, now, I understand. If we break down, ooh. Just off of this pattern, a breakdown would bring you down to 3,000. Yeah. Whoa. Then we'll take the lower number, 4,514. So it's one of those things. Is Ethereum going to break out of this and give us a surge up to 45.14? Or does Ethereum break down and head us back towards 3K? And then ultimately, if it goes to 3K, what's stopping us from coming down to that 20-something hundred, 2,500? So we don't want this to break down. We want this to be a beautiful cup. Little breakout. Back test. Power through is what we want. Just tap it in. Just tap it in. Tap, tap, tap. That's all we want to do. Tap, tap, tap. Weekly's oversold now, which is a great sight to see. Remember, this whole time we were pushing over here since June on this push up, we we're overbought. Now we're oversold in stochastic. That is so great to see in the weekly. Breath of fresh air, actually. Doesn't mean we're done. Because if we fall back to 3,000, what's stopping us from coming back to the uptrend that I was at around 2,349? So you see how this could end up being a pretty slippery slope as we go. So these are your main, let's see. And even if we follow this pattern, the main areas of concern right now are these. Because if you break 3,548, that's going to confirm the drop to 3,076 because you're going to lose the 200. And the pattern resistance that's now support. So this has been one extraordinary live. If I was watching this from the outside, I'd be pretty happy right now just because direction is being shown. Whether it goes in our favor or not in the short term, we can see a directive being filled. So... But we still got to get over with Bitcoin. In the daily, there's no doubt we're going to have to get over that 112. 112.2 is where we're really going to have to fight to get over. And in the 4 hourly, that's up at 113. So the 2 hourly is going to be our fight. It really is. That 2 hourly is going to be our fight. Because that's right where we're going to get that rejection point if it's got to continue down in the daily. That's going to be our... I have a feeling we're building a fight up here possibly. That's what we're probably trying to do. It might even be in the 2 hourly where the fight is, actually. I went to the wrong one. Yeah, the 2 hourly. Because you're going to start to get the 2 hourly compressing right there at 111.6, which isn't that far away. And it's going to kind of start fighting with the daily. Because the daily death cross, well, it's only a bearish cross right now, but if it wants to come all the way through, we're going to have to meet that somewhere. So we're going to have to push through. So this is going to be brutal, I think. Hopefully we get some short-term relief. If not, it'll be brutal for the short term. And we still got several weeks here where we could shake ourselves out. Now, we said 1 week approximately until I believe we're going to have that next rate cut. And then what I was talking about earlier, which I forgot, not only do we have the rate cut, that I think it's the day after it starts for 3 days in Korea, where they're probably going to do some kind of peace thing or whatever, or do something that makes it look good. So having that coupled with rate cuts and quantitative tightening being done, I think this is extremely bullish for risk assets. Risk off, it's going to be extremely bullish as well in the mid to late 26. I believe it's going to be the most bullish time. But now is honestly the time of opportunity. Like if you were somebody sitting here and you're like, I wanted Silvercorp, Tom, and it might still be way too early because we could still drop way out. We had a nice run, but it's one of those things that goes back to the crypto time. If you're somebody building for the future and you were buying it when it was coming up here, saying I'm buying it every day, and now it's down 17% with a peak of 22. So we were in bear market territory. Now we're firmly in correction territory. You know, what would I do? Well, it seems to like this uptrend. Bounce off the uptrend, went up to 512, came back to the uptrend at 433, came all the way up to 779. It might make sense to come back to the uptrend now at 524. Last time it hit it was at 433. The time before that would have been... $350, then 431, and then maybe 530. So it goes up almost $1 every time it taps that uptrend. Eventually, though, it won't come back to the uptrend. It'll just be done. Like this could very well just be back testing, you know, from further moves. So, because we broke out of this nice consolidation that we were in back here, we still haven't come all the way. Now we're just kind of back testing that 640 area. And that's like the cup and handle. in the short term. We're in a very, man, it's such a weird spot. It's weird. It's the world dynamics that keep pounding into my head saying, listen, you were so early on this and you already know what's about to transpire. What do you, and yeah, if you're not in it, I would probably wait to see if it's going to attack that uptrend at 530. I don't expect the correction can just be done after a couple days like that. Was it a substantial correction? It sure was. But like, oh man, North American Oil's having a day today. We talked about it yesterday, ironically. Just because of where it's sitting, it was massively in the weekly and daily oversold in the stochastic. But I still think we're early. This is probably still early because the war on oil in its own history, when there's a war on oil before they start to have the great reversal, they always do. Like back here, they came back in 2017. Back here in the blah, blah, blah era of 2020 when we were locked down, they came back down here. Now, and maybe this is the only spot it comes back down to for these, but historically, these love, as you can see when it first started, then it came down here, then it comes down here a couple times. This was all the way back in 2009. This low was in 2007. We filled that out. We filled out this area as well. We came up, filled it out, came up, filled it out. Generally, they have one dramatic drop at the end. So if it comes back down into this range, guys, I'm going to be a huge buyer of this. I'll be honest. I just want to see if this does the last fallout because I'm not sure crude yet. WTI, I think I have it up here now. Do I? Do I not? Oh, it's only on my phone. You got to love this, how it never transfers from the phone. Yeah, it's on my phone. What the... Think markets. What the fuck is that? 65. What does this have it at for US? Oil spot 61. That sounds about right. Hold on, let me look it up real quick. US spot oil price. Yeah, 61.52. I'm gonna use that because that's the oil spot. Actually, I could use this. That's probably more accurate. Yeah, that's the commodity CFD. They both are. I don't know if I want think markets. I think I'd rather just go probably here. No. I guess it all just depends on what I want. Let me see exactly what it says. I like to be up to the second. Let's see. Oil. There were some below the line items such as a higher tax rate that caused EPS to miss. Free cash flow is actually very strong. So overall, let's see what the takes on the numbers, but fairly in line, maybe a bit better operationally versus consensus, including on a better gross margin overall. Okay, so that gross margin and actually the cash. Sorry if I'm boring everybody. Is that enough to really I apologize if I bore everybody. With this, I'm just trying to give insight. This is how I dissect the market. I could do the West Texas Instrument or intermediate crude oil cash, but I kind of think I want to go. Might be better to just do the futures, honestly. But that's in a different setting. Yeah, I'll just use the oil futures. I'll break the difference. We'll just break the difference. We'll just do the futures. Yeah, that's fine. That'll work for me. Because we have to pay attention to this now. I think we're gonna have something big happen with oil, but we're still early. Oh, I already have UTI. I didn't even realize I had that up there. Whoops. So I overlooked it. I didn't realize I had the U.S. oil up there, so I guess I did have it already. It doesn't hurt to have the futures up there as well, just so we can kind of see. And then this is the first one I have up here. I'm going to put Murphy's back up there. Don't worry. Because I like Murphy's personally. I guess there's no point. We can just have the futures for oil. Yeah, I think I just want to have the futures. Just for space-wise. So WTI. And then I'll add Murphy up here right now. Because that's one of the better paying dividend ones. Wait a minute. Clicked on the wrong one. And this has had a nice move. Fuck, we were watching this before. See, I got caught up in crypto. I missed out on the fucking tap at 19. But it should come back down. Weekly time frame shows me that we're just... Hopefully, we're going to come back down. Personally, I was hoping that this would kind of flounder its way back. Because it's actually a little bit lower. Because it hasn't necessarily came all the way through. See, it should be something like that. I was going to say, I thought it was like 12 or 13. Stupid phone. But we'll continue to watch this. It kind of sucks that it's gone up. It was down to like 22 almost. Or maybe even lower. But it's fun. This is the good part of all of this, though. Because now that commodities are starting to shake out in their own way, now it's time to keep the eye in that ever-expanding look. So US 10-year needs to be up here. 30-year needs to be up here. Oil needs to be below that. And that's just the way I've always done it. I always put the oil stuff above the gold and silver. And remember, with the cheaper prices of oil, the cost of mining the stuff out of the ground is even cheaper. Well, that's a nice V-shaped recovery, though. That is unfortunate to see. This one might just be behind, although you've seen the V-shape there before, and then it just powered back down. Because we never quite can tell when the push in oil is actually going to happen. I really wanted it to come back down here, which I still think it can. I think we can get the $27. If you're wondering what I wanted it to come down to, but the weekly is so oversold right now that it could be a problem. We'll see. I'm just going to watch it like I've been. I got no reason to do anything. Crypto is in the forefront. That's just something to pay attention to in the mid-26. Now, hopefully we don't miss our window because we're like, oh, we're going to try to hit it so profoundly and, but, oh, XDC and XLM. Yes, I love both of them. I have 20,000 plus XLM. And currently it's either 125 or 130,000 XDC. I'm not sleeping on XDC at all. I actually really like XDC more than most. Lori, there's a ton of news going on the rest of the month. A ton. You must not have been in here since the beginning. At the end of the month, we have a couple things. We have Trump meeting in Korea, and I think they're gonna have a deal with China. Something's coming out of it. They're not having a 3-day meeting for no reason. And at the same time, we're getting the likely rate cut at the end of the month of October, on the 30th, I believe. And when Jerome Powell spoke a week ago, and this is why I got so confident as well when that drop happened in the speech, because back in 23, when I told the audience we're good, we're golden, was when they officially went from the last part of quantitative tightening, and it didn't look like it, but they were finally going into the whole-fledged quantitative easing. It took a month or two to start getting going, but once it did, we had a nice significant rally, and now it's been a month. It's going to take, it took a few, and we had a big drop too. So now we have that same symmetry lining up. Quantitative tightening ending by Jerome Powell himself saying it. If you paid attention, we talked about it in the moment when he said it, and we were like, oh my God, he said it. And we're going into rate cuts. We have an election year coming up. It's all happening at the exact time. No, rate cuts this month. Again, the meeting's at the end of the month. Trump's 3-day meeting starts on the 31st in Korea. Isn't it ironic it all happens at the same time? I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in something more. I think we're getting close with Linnea for this next little push. I really do. I think it's going to come up to this 167 soon. I don't know the exact time it's going to come up there. See, I don't really like looking in the 2 hour. Because then you'll throw yourself off. Be like, hey, it's overbought. And then you can look at every single scenario. And it's funny when you do this. Like, look. Overbought. Or oversold. Overbought. You'd think when it was oversold here, this would be the low, right? And then it comes down. And then when it's not even oversold again, so the stochastic didn't even come down as much when it corrected. So you can get yourself in trouble in the 2 hourly. 4 hourly is where I like to look. It's getting up there. RSI, plenty of room. Stochastic has still got plenty of room to come up. Weekly, there's not enough evidence, but the daily is what gets me very, very interested here in this pattern consolidation. It's either you buy this consolidation or you don't, and then you're going to have to wait because it'll have a quick shot. If it breaks out of this, 2 3s on deck. And I believe it's got to come up there anyhow. And remember, we've already had the wick exhaustion to 005 again. We just haven't had the up exhaustion. So we still have that exhaustion to the top side where we have a huge gap. And we've already filled the downside gap. So, I mean, there's a reason I bought it at 0095. That was the best I could do on that wick because I was concentrating on other things. And there's a reason I sold it here when it was towards this consolidation. It's lower than that now, but there's a reason I sold it to try to get the group together here because I thought about it. I'm like, oh, man, I could just do this together with everybody. So I kind of have the fuck it moment. Like, I don't really care because I think I'm just going to ride it with the group and see if it works. And if it breaks that, so if you don't want to be in it, pull it out in the next minute or so. We're in it until it breaks 1462 is basically the way it goes. And the only reason I would sell out is because then we might have a significant drop and we can, get more tokens than we already had. So I think I talked myself into it, to be honest with you. Plus, I want to see if it works so badly now that we figured all this out. And it's not about today, it's about tomorrow, after all. And plus, I would have it anyhow. That's the other part that kind of gets me, because I would have it anyhow right now. And we're getting some volatility. Nothing crazy. Some volatility across the market. Nothing like, oh my God, it's knocking my socks off, but we're getting some volatility. So I like volatility, so let's just do it. Nothing to it but to do it. Linnea. And ironically, you'll get it a little bit right around the same price as yesterday, but everybody will be in it now. And it's only 1x, so if I do it, you don't have to worry about all the nonsense. I don't do, anything over 1x. And I don't short, so you don't have to worry about being liquidated. It'll just be, we're in it. If this structure breaks, we'll buy the drop on the structure. It'll be somewhere around here if it happens. But we're looking for the breakout back up into resistance. And then to see if now we can break out of the structure and come up pretty quickly up to 4-3. With all the stuff happening in the next week, this would suggest that this might be a golden area. This could be the golden pocket right now for most of these assets. As far as the consolidation, that's assuming we don't get a catastrophic breakdown. Now, Bitcoin is the other thing when we look here. It looks like we've got a short-term inverse head and shoulders that is really trying to play out here. And if it does, it's going to flip this on its ass. Because 4 hourly and the stochastic's got plenty of room for a push here. Daily time frame is pushing up right now. I know we bounced off the 200-day and pattern support, structural support at that. We still got a lot of work to do here. Weekly actually pushed into oversold, which is crazy that we're oversold at 107K, or what is it, 110K right now. It's just crazy dynamic. Pardon's convicted Binance founder. Trump pardons convicted Binance founder Changpeng Zhao. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I'm watching it right now. So if you guys are wondering, so I figured I would just show what came across there as well on the TV. I like to have Bloomberg over there just so I can see it. And Nick, Excellent clutch news, my friend. Thank you so much. I just think everybody who's been transparent with themselves, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do this because I don't want to keep thinking about it, because this is what I would do personally. I would have it open. Like I said, I had it at 009, whatever. I would have kept it open until it broke that structure. So there's no reason for me to just, oh, I don't want to do it now. So let's see if it actually opened.
As you track trade right now, I'd like you to answer, does software actually play any role in any of this negotiation?
Well, you know, I think it plays
Yes, it did.
negotiation, right?
Linnea worked, and I put $3,338, and it says followers total investment equals almost $7,000. So it worked, ladies and gentlemen. So it finally worked. I don't know how many tests I've done. It finally worked. Thank you all for your help. And just understand what my conviction is here. So that's it. I feel whole. That's the only thing that's been bothering me, because I have everything else I wanted except having that in our pocket. So, and I had it in my pocket until I tried to expand it to everybody, because I was trying to think of the token that would be best. And for our own study, why not? We already have 10,000 XRP. Why not? Or whatever you have. You already have your XRP. Why not do the Swift version now? So, Scotty Trades, I appreciate that. Yeah, I encourage everybody to get TOOBIT, even if you're not in on that trade or don't want to copy trade as a whole, because when the tier 1 exchanges go down, you want to be able to buy your assets somewhere, and then you can always send it to the tier 1 exchange. That's in the video description below and our pinned comment to this very video. It's also got a link to my Facebook, which I highly encourage you. I put out a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot. So, I mean, there's been a lot of stuff I put about the ruble, how it's gained against the U.S. I put about China massively increasing their gold reserves this morning. You know, I put the reaccumulation stuff for Ethereum. Warning about some incidents, some stuff that have embraced the market downward spiral. This is what creates our reversal, likely mid-November. Talk about the gold prices plunging and blah, 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 and all this stuff, yada, yada, yada. There's so much stuff. So much stuff. I encourage you to get in the Telegram. If you're not in there, you are truly missing out. I know I didn't get through all the comments this morning. I couldn't. I had too much stuff to talk about. At Mr. Stott, I did, because I thought it was a good spot to at least see if it works, one. And then it gives us room to watch it consolidate for a little bit. And then if it breaks this structure, anytime it breaks this structure and it makes it look like we're going to go down lower, I'm selling out of it, because that's what I would have done in my personal life. And then I'm going to ride it lower and buy it back when I feel like it's at that point. Otherwise, we're sitting in it. We're waiting for the push to 167 and a breakout to not only try to retest 231, but we're trying to extend towards this wick exhaustion, because we already had this down here where we had this gap that was left below and above. We filled out the low wick, that gap. Now we got to fill out the upper gap. So we're in a very ominous and good spot here.
What's also been fascinating?
No, on there, for some reason, it doesn't say the exact amount of tokens. You have to break. Now, I have to go into it and see. What does it say? So I have to look at the actual history of the order.
But should we be looking more broadly at who the AI talent is in some of these big tech companies, and whether
Let's see. I got to go into my copy trade. I have to go into the actual. I believe you have to go into the actual order that was purchased. I know I had to look at it somewhere yesterday. I'm trying to figure this out. My current trades. Oh, I'm in the wrong spot. All trades. Right now it's open. You have to go into your stats. I have to go into my operate spot. But right now, it filled for me 212,760 Linnea is what I ended up doing on this trade. Let's see what the fee was. I'm always interested to see the fee. Futures, copy trade. $1.66 it cost me to open that trade. It says fee $1.66, and remember, if you're copying, Facebook, there's so many different ones. I know, and I appreciate everybody telling me about the fake people scamming me or scamming our, trying to use my name. But unfortunately, I already know, and there's nothing I can do about it. Facebook punished me for reporting them. Yeah, so there's that. Well, at least we know it works. And at least we have a plan. If it falls out, your plan. You know my plan. But at least we know that it works together regardless. And then when I buy it back, if it falls out, or we ride to the promised land. So I would rather just consolidate within and then start breaking up personally. And just let us ride it into alt season. I have a lot of conviction with that token. It's extremely early. I'm extremely proud of this community for paying attention before that big dump happened and waited for opportunity, because there was a lot of opportunity and we've made some money off of it right now. So we're in a good spot right now. And I'm just happy that we're in it together now. So, I'd go have a look. So Tom just thought I'd let you know, and I appreciate that, Anna. Unfortunately, YouTube or Facebook doesn't care. That's one of the only good things about YouTube. In the comments, they can imitate you, but they can't create another channel that has my name. They'll immediately get banned. So, just be very observant, very visual. And I appreciate you, at least letting everybody know that this is happening, because unfortunately it is. Now, it's been a while since we had a phone call here, and soon I want to do another one. There's no doubt about it. When? I don't know. What would the actual circumstance be? That's to be determined. I would still need to have a call with Shane, so he's definitely on the order book. He's definitely going to be on here at some point. Why is Bitcoin dominance up right there? I kind of feel like that's a little... why is the futures up like that? I think it's got a nice little inverse. I got to keep saying that. Until that breaks, I see that inverse head and shoulders, and I just can't not see it. It's what we were seeing yesterday when it was down at 106. It's like there's an inverse head and shoulders there. I don't know. It's hard to not see it. Defined it worked for you, so it actually... Oh, excellent. See, our little bit of due diligence yesterday, actually, we knew we figured it out. That's why I was eager, to try. When it's in a pattern, when we actually have a pattern, so I know where my fail-safe is for the next purchase if I have to bail. Sophie Taylor, welcome in. I'm so happy to see you in here, Sophie. I love our female audience. It's ever-growing. It's ever-growing. On average, we get 12 to 13% of my whole viewing audience is female, and you can see in the live there's much more than 13% that are viewing, I think, but that's that's a lot for over 47,000 subscribers. Normally for doing crypto, it's between 2 and 3% is your female audience, is what YouTube tells you. On the higher end, it's at 5%, and we've more than almost 2.5 times that. I'd like to think it's my info, but maybe it's just my good looks and charm. No. I just think it's we have a peaceful and all-inviting community. I think it expands well beyond just me. So, but we'll continue this discussion. I'll be back tonight at about 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, maybe somewhere between 5:30 and 6, obviously depending on my son. He went to the cider, or the well, I guess you could say the cider mill, but he went to the orchard today with school. He's there right now, so I don't know how he's going to be. How far would XRP need to drop for that daily inverse head and shoulders to be legit? I don't think it necessarily has to fall anymore at all. Oh, you're talking about just a short time frame. For the daily, debatable. One debate would be it comes down and back test and equals out to the right side around. But it's already come down here once. 225 could. I still feel like, though, if it's going to do that, because of how much we've pushed around, it feels like everybody's waiting for that little drop, Nick, to me, for some reason. So it feels like this would be the time to come play that 265 real quick. It really feels like that to me. I can't get this out of my gut. It feels like this would be the perfect time to play XRP right up for a quick shot, right before the escrow dump, in a week, ironically. We got 8 or 9 days until the escrow dump. So wouldn't it make sense to rise the price up and then drop it with that dump? And then they can relock it up for cheaper. I mean, it kind of feels like that's, I don't know. If men are crypto bros, what is the term for female, for the female cryptos? Well, ironically, the bullish patterns are like the women's ovaries, or like the women's internal setup. I don't want to get into it any deeper. But if you look at, so they're the bullish sector. The males are the bearish sector. Like, we're just idiots. The females bring the enlightenment, so... Crypto bros. Crypto bros sounds like a cheap community that is trying to scam us all. I don't know if I like crypto bros. I've never said I'm a crypto bro. That just sounds like a bunch of people that are really get this scammed. Let's see. Nick says that's a fair take. Thank you for looking for me, Tom. Oh, always. You're one of the most important people that can ever walk into this chat. You know the charts deeper than probably everybody in the chat. No offense to everybody in the chat, but he gets my highest compliment. Let's see. Crypto fans. Oh, we'll have to come up with something. But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna attack today. Hopefully you consider everything I've said today. You see where my mind is at today, what I'm thinking. Oddly, I become calmer after I think the thoughts out. And I felt more secure because Anna sent a nice message yesterday too about how she obviously oddly feels more comforted after hearing my thoughts. And oddly, I feel the same way hearing everybody else when they are in here and just seeing the direction. But don't sleep on XDC for the R3 cord. I talk about it all the time. It could have dumped. Sure, it could dump. Absolutely. But, everything could dump. Weekly is significantly oversold, which I love. And we filled out the bottom of support, so maybe we come back up to 7.9 for resistance, even if bearish. So we've already hit 3 hits of support. Even if you try to line this up, in my opinion, you've only got 2 resistance taps. Although, in the weekly, you came up here a bunch of times, so I suppose you can say that cluster is 3 separate hits. But if you're looking at it from a standpoint of, hey, I want to see if we've hit it many times, it's harder to look at this because if you look at it in the monthly, you can't really see it as clear. But I still think it's looking for a resistance hit again, unless we fall out and just go to 2.9. That's the other ambiance here. That's the other side of this. If we don't break out in the short term, we very well could be going for some pain. But I still think at the end of this, it's going to be fucking fantastic. Look at IOTA for the Internet of Things. It's the mainframe token. Algorand, very popular in the African countries and over on South America on that side of the world. It's almost like the XRP, like the USA for the central banks and such. For the, I don't want to say third world countries because Africa is actually more prosperous than we are in the USA. Nobody will tell you, but that's how it goes because of the minerals and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to get into it, but it's an interesting dynamic that's going on. So I see big opportunity in Algo, IOTA. XRP still has its opportunity as it hasn't even come close to the cycle top. We just have a lot of opportunity. So be blessed, everybody.